All right, hello everyone. Welcome. We are about to begin today's press conference. My name is Kelsey Hartman. I'm the press secretary for the Office of the Attorney General. We're going to have one speaker today, that is Attorney General Anthony G. Brown. We will take media questions after Attorney General Brown's remarks, and copies of the press release are available at the table to your left after the press conference and will be made available on our website as well. And with that, the press conference will begin. Please welcome Attorney General Brown.
Hey, how's everybody doing this morning? What a muted response. You're wondering why you're here. Apologize at the outset for the heat. It's the whole building. It's 80 degrees. It's going to be 80 degrees today. Okay, first of all, thanks for being here this morning. We have a very important announcement about the work in the Office of the Attorney General and what we're filing today. A few blocks from where we're standing, the Trump administration has been holding human beings in conditions that shock the conscience. Dozens of immigrants are crammed into a single cold cement room for days at a time. No bedding, no showers, one toilet, not enough floor space for everyone to lie down at once. These are the reported conditions inside the George H. Fallon Federal Building here in Baltimore, where cells built for short-term detention have become something far, far worse. On a single day, ICE has held more than 120 people across just 5 cells, crowded, unsanitary, and dangerous. Dangerous because people are being denied the medical care they need to survive. Let me be specific about what we've learned. ICE denied dialysis to a person in renal failure, leaving him with an impossible choice: waive their legal rights and accept deportation, or fight their case from a cell without the care they need to live. A diabetic detainee denied insulin for so long they suffered a medical crisis. A person with a brain tumor held for more than 10 days denied a medical appointment and the medical care medication they needed. And beyond the medical neglect, detainees described the food as dog food. They were given blankets covered in feces, lice, urine, vomit. One woman became so distressed she pulled her hair out and began banging her head against the wall over and over and over again. She said she wanted to die. Every one of these detainees is someone's parent or someone's child, someone's spouse, someone's neighbor, someone's friend. They are human beings, and every one of them has been trapped in a nightmare. These are not isolated incidents, and this is not new. For more than a year, members of Congress have raised alarms. Journalists have investigated and reported. Advocates filed a class action lawsuit, which resulted in a preliminary injunction just last week. And yet, despite all that scrutiny, conditions have not improved. They get worse. At the end of January, our Civil Rights Division and Federal Accountability Unit launched a joint investigation. We subpoenaed ICE for the documents we need to understand what is truly happening inside the facility. The administration stonewalled us at every turn. They missed their own deadline. They rejected our subpoena outright with boilerplate objections and no real answers. When we followed up, they said they needed another month just to consider whether they might produce anything at all. Our investigation cannot wait another month. Just yesterday, members of Congress went to inspect the facility, and ICE showed them an empty room. But an empty room does not mean the problem is solved. Were these cells emptied to avoid scrutiny? Will ICE move people back to the same conditions at the Fallon building once the cameras are gone? This administration has a pattern of trying to hide what's happening inside. Elected representatives have been turned away at the door on past visits. When private plaintiffs filed suit, ICE fought them on discovery. When we issued a subpoena, they stonewalled us too. We've given the administration every opportunity to comply with the law, and they have chosen not to. So today we're going to court. Just 30 minutes ago, we filed a lawsuit to compel ICE to turn over the documents that our investigation requires. We allege that ICE's refusal to produce records violated its own regulations and was unreasonable, arbitrary and capricious, and contrary to law. We're asking the court to declare their stonewalling unlawful and to order ICE to comply. I want to thank the attorneys in our Civil Rights Division and our Federal Accountability Unit who have worked tirelessly on these investigations, and certainly on this investigation, issuing the subpoenas, building the case, and filing today's lawsuit. Here's what I believe, and what has always guided this office. Every person in government custody deserves and has a right to basic human dignity. And this office has both the right and the responsibility to investigate when that dignity is denied. The Trump administration has decided that those rights don't apply here in Baltimore and that they don't have to answer for their conduct. They are wrong. Marylanders' constitutional rights are non-negotiable. It doesn't matter who is in the White House. It doesn't matter how hard they stonewall. This office will never stop defending them. Thank you, and I'll take your questions.
Do you have any idea where the people were sent or how many there were at the time of the injunction?
No, we don't have any idea where they were sent. We know that at some point there were at least 120 detainees in a facility with a rated capacity of 56, and that's why the preliminary injunction last week was such that it will not exceed 56. What we do know from what investigation we've been able to do is that there are complaints about, as I mentioned, the lack of medical care, excessive use of force, a lack of access to legal counsel, and poor sanitary conditions. What we do believe is that, notwithstanding yesterday's visit by members of Congress that showed no one present, that it is highly likely that detainees will be returned to that facility. And that's why our investigation is so important, so we can understand the extent of the deplorable, despicable, and unlawful conditions in the Fallon building, so we can protect our residents.
Can you explain what kind of documentation you're looking for? What do you expect is in there, and what do you hope to learn from the documents that if you get your hands on?
Sure, a number of categories. We want to know about complaints, right? We want to know about requests for legal counsel. We want to look at, for example, contracts for food service. We want to understand who's coming and going by being able to look at transport logs. These are all categories of documents that by regulation should be made available upon request. And there are very specific factors that an agency, this agency, needs to consider to whether to approve or deny, and they haven't done that. It's been a blanket refusal to provide information. That's unacceptable, and that's what we're challenging. Now, in terms of what we hope to find the truth, right? We hope to uncover what is actually happening. What, for example, members of Congress saw yesterday was a facade, right? And we hope to be able to pierce that, to go beyond that, and to be able to review the records to actually understand what's coming and going, and to better understand patterns and practice of treatment in that facility.
Depending on the way that the investigation goes, if the court grants you access to these documents, what could the next steps be?
We'll follow the evidence, right? We'll take a look at the documents to better understand, again, the pattern and practice of treatment and conduct within that facility. And if and when we find that there are violations of rights, constitutional, statutory, or otherwise, we will bring whatever appropriate actions we can with our authority to bring those actions to protect the residents of Maryland.
Why did you file this today? Well, why now?
As opposed to another day. Well, listen, we've been actively involved in terms of looking at what we believe to be deplorable conditions in treatment at the Fallon building since last year. You may recall, you may know that in June we filed an amicus brief in support of the lawsuit. We have certainly been as responsive as we can to inquiries by the media in terms of what we know, what we understand. Our Civil Rights Division has been investigating this for months. And now is the time. We've given the federal government an opportunity to turn over documents. We made the initial request, as we're required to do. We got a completely unacceptable and what we characterize as unlawful, because we believe it is, arbitrary and capricious denial of that request. And enough is enough, right? There are real lives at stake, right? I mentioned some of the medical conditions. Those are what we know, and we believe that there may very well be even more examples of that, conditions that are putting human lives at real risk. So now was the time to file, given the stonewalling of ICE and this administration.
With the new Hagerstown building slated to open in late May or early June, what is your office plan to navigate that?
So our action in Hagerstown, we're not going to spend a lot of time today talking about that, really is based on the fact that the federal government's not following the law, right? So we believe in the rule of law in Maryland, right? And that also means, you know, lawful immigration enforcement. But it's not unlawful immigration enforcement. That's the nature of this case. And in terms of Hagerstown, it's not following the laws, state and local laws, when you want to develop or redevelop a massive facility like what's being contemplated and proposed in Hagerstown. There are environmental reviews that have to take place. There is sensitive environmental features in the vicinity of that facility. There are regulations that govern, you know, clean water, wastewater, fire codes, a host of regulations that the federal government is not immune to following. There's no exception to the federal government. So our complaint there is insisting that if a detention facility is going to be built, it's got to be done according to the law.
Is Maryland the first state to essentially take ICE to court about how they're treating detainees, or has there been similar patterns in other states?
I'm going to ask Adam Kirshner, who's chief of my Federal Accountability Unit, if he wants to speak to that.
I can speak briefly that there have been other matters that could be related. I know that there were actions involving in Minnesota and other ICE activity for this particular facility. That this would be of looking into an investigation of this nature. I believe that this would be of the first of this nature, but there are other matters which other states have done other related matters in terms of the investigation of the killings in Minnesota, for example.
Thank you, Adam. Anyone else?
PG, we have a question from William Ford over text.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take it?
Sure.
All right. Is there a way to push the court to issue stronger rulings to force the administration to comply with simple orders such as turning over documents going on at the George Fallon building?
Well, this is why we're here today, right? Our complaint, William, is to compel ICE to produce documents pursuant to the requirements of its own regulations. There are certain factors that they can consider, and what we've experienced is just a blanket, refusal to produce any documents. So we're asking the court to order ICE to comply with the regulations, produce documents. We're willing to work, as we have demonstrated over the last several weeks, to work with ICE to address concerns they may have in terms of the categories and the scope of the request. That's not uncommon, and we're just asking the court to, at this point, direct ICE to comply with the law. Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
That concludes the media question and answer. I think we have an announcement.
One last piece of information we want to share with you. We have, the Office of the Attorney General has created an email address. We are asking anyone who has information regarding conditions at this facility to please send us your information, send us your stories to the following email address. It is immigration.detention@oag.maryland.gov. I'm going to spell that out for ADA compliance. That is immigration.detention@oag.maryland.gov.